Hello and welcome to episode 222 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, from West Coast, Best Coast, Emma. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm alive. I'm well.
That is good.
We like that.
Yes.
I got really
can
confused.
confirm.
I can confirm. I got really confused because I forgot that my Twitch was unmuted, so I was getting a Cameron echo, and I was like, Cameron, you weren't echoing a minute ago.
Chaos ensues. You
Yeah.
step away from the computer for 2 seconds right before you just hit play,
Well,
and
bam.
chaos happens. Yeah.
You start echoing.
Yeah. So for this week, we're going to be chatting a little bit about our spoiler-free thoughts on God of War so far. And we're also going to chat about the Game Award nominations that came out today. And then we're also going to very briefly touch on the Black Panther Wakanda Forever box office results. As always, though, and before we get into that, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can join our Discord server if you want to chat between shows or shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can also check us out on Twitch every Monday night at 6:45 Mountain Time, part of the post-show chats, or find the video over on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. And then from there, you can go and check out our Redbubble store for that First Geek merch. So, Emma, it's been like a hot minute since since we've had a cast. I think we've been out the past couple weeks. But even since before that, it's been a long time since episode 221 because we did Phasmophobia.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the last thing we did. Wow. It really has been a while.
Yeah. I was trying to confirm the show number, like which episode this was. And I was like, stuff's happened. It just hasn't been like a normal Monday night. And so with that, what all have you been up to? What's been going on?
Let's see. I went to my sister's baby shower last weekend, and that was a lot of fun. It's the first kiddo on the way to February, and was super exciting and super fun.
Nice.
I'm excited to be an aunt. So I'm looking forward to that, and had that happen. The new season of The Crown came out this last week, and I've been loving that. One of the few straight drama shows that I'm obsessed with. I normally like the more sci-fi fantasy stuff, but The Crown, I'm here for this royal drama. And then this weekend, dog sat, and that was fun because I don't have any dogs. Two little ones, two little mixes. But my roommate right now this week is dog sitting a Bernese mountain dog. So we have a big old Bernese in the house, and that's fun. So lots of dogs around, which is great. And I've been playing the new God of War game.
I'm very excited for us to talk about it.
Yes, I was just going to say, we've been talking about it a little bit back and forth over Twitter. So, thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, this is definitely going to, when we get there, we'll do the normal disclaimers too. But this is definitely going to be kind of like the challenge to keep it spoiler free. I do want to especially with us not even being relatively speaking that far into the game.
Neither of us is finished, nor I don't even know if either of us is halfway.
Yeah.
So.
So very excited to hear initial thoughts. Hopefully, I don't know if Chris or Shanine are planning to play it, but if not, you and I, hopefully we can do a spoiler cast once we've both finished, and we can actually do a bigger discussion on it and try to try to discuss now that we've seen everything. What actually do we think about what's going on?
Yeah. Because I definitely think some of the opinions I have now are going to change based on how the end of the game turns out, because things may not end up being the way that they are right now.
Yeah. So for me, as we've been saying, I've been playing God of War as well. I'll have a lot more to say once we get to that spoiler-free discussion. Other than that, I've kind of gone back into playing a bunch of games, which is how I lived my life for a very long time. And it just feels like ever since like 2021, there just like hasn't been a lot of games that I want to play other than February of this year, where there were like 4 games that all came out in quick succession that I wanted to play. But even after that, it was kind of a lull. And it was like, okay, now I have this backlog of 3 to 4 games. Now here I am again with 3 to 4 games I want to play. Another couple ones coming out later this week or later in the month or next month. And so it's kind of crazy being back in this. But so in addition to God of War, I have been playing Sonic Frontiers. I have really been enjoying it. It's kind of it's like, what's the best way to describe it? It's almost like junk food. Like, is it like...
Is it the new, like, Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like this open area, open zone Sonic game. And then there's like a lot of like smaller puzzles that you do. And so it's like, oh, there's an item. The item's up there. How do I get there? What rails do I need to grind? What like platforming section do I need to complete to get to that? And it's definitely like junk food. I feel like it's the idea of, as a whole package, it's very easy to look at its faults, but like every little bite is so good and just like leaves me wanting one more.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so easy to do the like, oh, well, I'm now close to this item. Might as well get it. Like in that like traditional open world formula.
Yeah.
And so I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if I've just not paid attention through the story or if the story is just crazy and I just don't like nothing's explained yet. I just finished the first area over on Cameron plus Deanna on Sunday. And so, which is like the best anime boss fight ever. It's so like over the top, but like, oh, do we get a kitty? Oh no, it's a puppy. Hello.
It's a puppy. He's a big floofer.
Pause
His
for
name
puppy.
is Benny. Pause for puppy. It's the big floofer. Hi, Benny. Hi, handsome. Okay. Just as good as the kitty.
Yes. But yeah, so it's like super anime again in all the best ways, but like some of the moment to moment gameplay, I do feel like I'm like fighting the controls. I kind of like had a bit of that with like the boss fight where it was like, here I am getting hit because you physically can't turn the camera quick enough to see what's coming for you. Like the boss would hit you and like knock you back. And then you physically couldn't turn the camera back around to see the boss in time to dodge the next hit.
And react. And
yeah. And it was just like, okay, like that happened a few too many times, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, overall though, like every individual piece is just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like getting back into the God of War games. The X and O are like swapped in terms of general function in comparison to a lot of games. So like I've had to like remember that you have to use X to dodge or whatever.
Yeah, that was me beginning of the year with Elden Ring and Horizon.
Yeah.
I had so much trouble swapping control schemes between those two.
Yeah.
Like
because Horizon, which I play a lot of, it's O is the dash and all of that, and X to confirm. So.
Yeah. It's super weird. Yeah. I'm thankful that like between Sonic and God of War, the controls are different enough that it's a non-issue for this one, but it's definitely been a struggle with other games. And then other than that, man, chat, I don't know if y'all have heard of it, but there's this great indie game called Celeste that I finally played.
What a game, man.
Have you played that, Emma?
I have not. I have seen quite a bit of it and watched a little bit. So I know. Was that the game? I feel like I joined in on one of your live streams some random morning, and I think you were playing Celeste.
I think you did. And so it's this like 2D platformer. There are like sections that are very difficult. And basically you're just trying to get room from room. Some rooms have extra things that you can try to get as like a bonus objective, and they're strawberries. Then at the end of the game, you bake a pie based in the pies. How good it is based on how many strawberries you've collected. So that's adorable. But it's super good. And then it has a super deep story. Like it's about this person who is like challenging their depression, and then because they're climbing this mountain, their like depression like literally manifests as this other other entity, and so they have to like literally fight it. And so it gets like I knew that was kind of no, you're good. I knew that was kind of like the theme of what was going on, but I didn't realize how overt it was until I like started playing. Like there's like a scene where you're like sitting down at a fire with like one of the other people, like literally talking about depression and like stuff like that. And I was like, oh, also, is this the time Emma gets locked out? No. Okay.
No, it is not.
I was like, that's going to be a weird stream if we're here.
Back into my own home.
Yeah. Now we're going to live stream as we wait for a locksmith to show up.
Yeah.
So that's been really good. I want to get back to it and they're called the side Bs. It's basically like a harder version of every level.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I've done 2 of them and the third one broke me. Like I'm in this one room and I think I'm almost done. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's like less than 5 rooms left, but like I just cannot do it. And I hit the point on stream where I was like, okay, it's been like 15 minutes of me trying this one section. And I just had to nope out. Yeah. Yeah. And I just had to nope out. And I'm just like, we're just not doing this anymore. So I need to beat that section off stream and then come back and just pick back up with the other ones. But
yeah.
And then, I've also been playing a lot of Marvel Snap. I feel like that's one of those things that started like a month ago, but we haven't had an episode in a month, so I haven't talked about it. And so Marvel Snap is a mobile trading card game based on Marvel. But the big draw of it is like every game is only like 3 to 5 minutes.
That's nice.
Yeah. And so it's very easy to just knock out games very quickly. And then the free-to-play model on it is actually pretty good. Like you don't pay to unlock cards directly, I guess. And so it's like you can just kind of grind your way through a good collection of cards just by playing. Mm-hmm. And then the way that like earning cards works is it's like tied to your level. So like just to say random levels between levels 50 and 200, everyone will unlock the exact same cards. You just unlock them in a different order.
That's cool.
So it's kind of interesting. So like you'll be playing against cards that you don't have yet. And then as you break into those tiers, you'll play against more and more people. And they'll have more and more cards as your collection grows. Mm-hmm. And it's like a really cool way of doing it. And so that's been super fun. I've definitely played way too much of it, but I am having all of the fun.
I go throwing my phone across the room as I pick it up to put this game on my phone.
Yes, highly recommend. Again, it's the perfect, like, in just 3 to 5 minutes. It's honestly like the perfect going to the bathroom game. Because you're not, it doesn't like keep you there. And so, but then it's like from like a work perspective, it's also the perfect of like, okay, I wrapped this thing and I have 5 minutes before my next meeting. I'm going to play a game. And so I've really been enjoying it. They're supposedly adding PvP because right now there's not like a friends list or anything. So you can't actually like play against your friends. I have seen some people post pictures. Ryan from City on a Hill and Isaac from the Infinity Bros played against each other, but they just like got matched randomly. And so, so like that's super fun, but, yeah, hopefully eventually they'll actually have PvP and you can challenge your friends and stuff like that. But, and then speaking of Marvel, this past weekend, we had the release of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the final MCU Phase 4 film. So Deanna and I went to the premiere. We went to the first showing at our theater, just to clarify, because Emma is doing film, and at some point she may actually get to go to premieres. So I went to preemptive.
The phrase "I went to the premiere" means a very different thing in my world.
Yes, and so just to be clear ahead of time for when that starts happening, Emma gets to go to the much cooler premieres than we do.
But 5 feet away from Morgan Freeman, you guys.
Yeah. And so we went to our first showing at our local Alamo Draft House. It was I would say super fun. I don't want to get into any spoilers for the movie, of course, but it does deal with the passing both of Chadwick and then as a result of T'Challa. That's kind of the major theme of the film. And so I was telling Deanna when we left, it kind of felt like Avengers Infinity War, where like walking out of the theater after that film was like sad. Like in that
good way, or
yeah.
in a
I'll say in a good way.
They did well.
Yes, I feel like it was handled very well. There were definitely a lot of moments that got me. Especially more towards the beginning of the film. There's a lot that are like that are very like it doesn't feel like they're milking it, but like there's a lot that are like, hey, here's this person, like the memory of this person, and then tying that in with the memory of this character. I feel like they handled it very well. And I liked what they did with a lot of the characters. I did not know if I just hadn't paid attention to this, but it's almost entirely female led, with the exception of Namor and M'Baku. They're really the only two like male characters that do a lot.
Big fan.
The CIA guy is in it, but like same point. Martin Freeman's character.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that's Martin Freeman, right?
Yeah. So he's in it as well, but like he's more minor character, I guess you could say. But like it's like, but yeah, with it, it's almost entirely female led, and I was like, again, I don't know if I just hadn't paid attention to the promotional stuff, but like going through that, I was like, oh, like this is great. I just had not expected that going into it. Like I said, I just don't know if I had missed that. I don't know what other characters I thought there would be, but I was very excited to see them doing all of that. I will say from our book club, which is later this week on Black Panther, Wakanda for A Nation Under Our Feet, there's actually references in that that they used for Wakanda Forever that I'm very excited about. I hadn't realized that either. And so we'll talk about that more once we get to book club. But definitely go and be prepped for that. And so, but yeah, with that, kind of tying this in with our first news piece, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, what has become the largest opening ever in the month of November with $180 million, beating out Hunger Games at 150, or Hunger Games Catching Fire at 158 million, and is the second biggest premiere behind Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and is currently the 13th biggest opening of all time. And then its overall weekend box office was $208 million. And so big shout out. I'm kind of curious. I was surprised to see that this landed behind Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in terms of premiere, especially being like November. I'm curious. Chunk said this in chat a little bit ago. I am curious if more people are waiting to see it on Disney Plus. Because I'm wondering if it being more somber can tie into that. People maybe don't want to go see that in the theater as much. There's still plenty of action. Yeah. There's still plenty of really cool stuff to see on the big screen. But I wonder if some people are doing that, or I wonder if it's going to have longer legs because people are going to go see it for the holidays. So like people may be holding out because like, oh, family's coming in town for Thanksgiving and we're going to go see it Thanksgiving after we eat, something like that.
Yeah. If they're going to extend it, like, cause I remember the first Marvel movie I saw in theaters was the Avengers. And that was when it had been in theaters and then like the theater time ended and they re-put it back in theaters. So maybe they're gonna aim for something like that where they don't necessarily do that, but like extend the time out that it's in theaters.
Yeah, I could definitely see this staying in theaters until like Christmas time.
Yeah.
Like, just especially in terms of like being the latest Marvel film, the final phase 4. There's like good marketing buzz behind it. I haven't actually like looked at, let me go to Metacritic real quick. Like, I mean, I guess it's sitting at a 67 on Metacritic. And so I'm definitely curious to see if that will like give it the legs to stick through. But yeah, I would imagine like it'll be in theaters for come Christmas
They'll
time.
hang out with it for a little longer in
Mhm.
theaters than um typical
Yeah.
than the typical movie lifespan in
Mhm.
theaters.
Yeah. Especially because I don't think there's a ton of other like action-y movies coming out soon. So like you're obviously gonna get like some like Christmassy movies, but like there's
This is
not
the time of year for like romancy stuff.
right. And so kind of with that, I could see it sticking around just kind of as this is the action movie if you want to go see an action movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely see. I'm hopeful that it'll have good legs, and I'm also of course hyped because it introduced Ironheart into the MCU. So
I'm excited for that.
we finally get to see Riri.
She's African American, right?
Yes.
Cool. Excited for that.
Yeah.
I am all here right now for the big push into diversity, like a better on-screen and even behind camera diversity. So, big fan of all of that.
And chat Chunk calls out, well, everyone will be going to see Avatar 2 next month.
Oh,
I still
yeah.
can't believe that's
point.
actually coming out. Great point,
It's
Chunk.
actually happening.
Yeah, like that just, it seems like Deanna and I were talking about this the other day. It just seems like one of those things that's like been talked about for so long. With
that
it,
is just like,
yeah, it's just like
it's actually happening?
And it's like sure,
they're
it's
actually
like,
doing that?
yeah, it's like I'll believe it when we see it, and then it's like finally coming out. And so, but yeah, great call. I did completely forget that. That kind of that could lead to a change to the point that I was making. I could see that kind of being the thing that replaces it in theaters that were like keeping it around on 1 or 2 screens.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so that's our initial things on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We'll see if we're able to do a bit more of a spoiler cast on that as well. We'll see if we're able to, as a group, kind of do that. I don't know. We also, after we get the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, we may end up kind of tying all of those in, like a She-Hulk spoiler cast, Black Panther spoiler cast, all of those into completing our phase 4. Got the advent calendar. Nice.
Other thing that I forgot to mention, my mom got me a Guardians of the Galaxy Lego advent calendar because she saw it online and couldn't resist.
Nice.
So
my mother-in-law got me one last year, and I loved it.
Yeah, I remember that. When she gave it to me, I was like, "Oh, Cameron had one of these last year. It looks so fun."
It was so cool. I also highly recommend those. Turns out Lego, they know what's up. Pay attention to that company. They're going places. And so,
it's this really small company no one's ever really heard of before called Lego. They've got some amazing products.
Yeah, small indie company, Lego.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like hopefully we'll be able to kind of tie in all of those with completing our phase 4 tier list. Because we have She-Hulk, we have Black Panther, we have both specials, the Halloween one and the Christmas one. And then I think Doctor Strange is on there. So I think we were able to, I think that one had just come out. So I think it'll only be those 4. So since it's only 4 things, maybe we'll do a bit more of a spoiler cast with those. But listeners, if you have watched Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, let us know what you think about it over in the Discord. Just use that spoiler tag just in case. And then we're going to chat our next topic. Today we received the nominations for the Game Awards, top games of the year. Looking back, let me make this a little bigger so it's actually readable on stream. And so I don't necessarily want us to go through all of the awards because that tends to take quite a while. And so what I thought of instead was like, let's take a look at the most nominated. Because I'm curious about these. And so this breaks down across all of the awards. I want to say there's about 30 categories or something, although some of them are people. So obviously games are not going to be nominated for those. But this is looking at the games that are most nominated. Starting at the top, God of War Ragnarok is nominated for 10 awards. Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West are at 7. Stray is at 6. A Plague Tale Requiem is at 5. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Immortality, Neon White, Sifu, Tunic, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 all have 3 nominations as well.
Can I just say, Stray, I love that Stray is sort of in the top 3, if you will, in terms of number, because it's an indie game, essentially.
Yeah.
It's an independent game. And here it is with a big, like, it has 6 awards that it's nominated for, and rightly so, because it's such a fun game. And it's, like, so well deserved.
Yeah, that honestly really shocked me in a good way. But like I was just very surprised to see it get that many nods because I kind of feel like it's fallen out of the conversation. Like it's not, and maybe that's just like my part of the internet or whatever. But like I feel like it's one of those games that I just like haven't really seen around that much. After its initial release, there was a ton of hype for it after it came out, but there just wasn't really a lot of staying power, which is fine.
I think that's part of that has to do with the fact that in the grand scheme of things, it's a short game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the total, like, story gameplay is, like, at most 8 hours in comparison to, like, God of War and Horizon and, you know, Call of Duty and all of these other games where, like, the story playtime can be like anywhere from 15 to 25 hours potentially, or even more. So
yeah, I definitely think that that's a good call out. Like I'm pleasantly surprised that it's there. To me that's like the ringer of like I would have expected it to get 1 or 2 nominations, but I was not expecting to see it get 6. And I do want to say, like, I don't want us to get time-wise go through all of the awards, but I do want to say Game of the Year is A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And so, which, I mean, no surprise that the 5 top games are all up for Game of the Year, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that's in this huge tie for 6th place, is also up for Game of the Year. And so I just wanted to call that out as well. Of these games, Emma, which ones have you played? Which ones are you hoping to play? Like, what do you think?
Currently playing God of War. Currently on my 2nd playthrough of Horizon.
Nice.
I've played Stray. And that is it in terms of games that I have played. I've watched a little bit of Elden Ring. When I say that, I mean like I've watched one of the 2 Let's Play people on YouTube that I follow play a little bit of Elden Ring. I feel like, is A Plague Tale one of those I want to call it like choose your own adventure, or like the like butterfly effect ones where it's like if you say this thing, if you pick this choice, it affects this path down the road?
I don't think so. Everything I've seen about it is more actiony.
Okay.
I very briefly played the first game in the series, and I don't remember there being like a branching path or anything like that, but I also didn't get that far in.
I may be mixing that up with another series then. Because then I don't think I've seen anything about it, but the name sounds cool. So it's one of those things that I would look into. I've also looked into playing Tunic, but I've heard that it's hard, so I haven't played it because I don't games like playing games where it's like just hard and there's no real other option for like making it easier to then be able to enjoy it. So, but what about you, Cameron?
So for me, honestly, kind of the same as you. Really, with the only exception being I've played Elden Ring. And so currently playing God of War. Played a ton of Elden Ring, played a ton of Horizon. I still want to go back and get the platinum for Stray. I have some like collectibles that I missed, and then like I think there's a trophy for beating the game relatively quickly.
There is.
Yeah, it's like by no means like a speed run, but you do kind of need to zoomy.
There's also one for curling up in a napping spot and leaving the cat there for an hour.
Yeah. Huge fan.
I love.
Yeah.
I love that that's one of the trophies.
Yeah. They did so much fun stuff with it, and I remember like the first time you like
dedicated meow button.
Yeah, you get a dedicated meow button. I love that like video games are gross. They always appeal to the male fantasy meme. And then it's just the cat press circle to meow. Like obviously like that video was very accurate in what the woman was talking about. But I just love that meme has now become like, look at all of these silly things that are in video games.
Oh, fantasy, huh?
Yeah.
What about a dedicated meow button?
Yeah. So yeah, Stray was a ton of fun. Again, want to get back to it. I played a little bit, as I was saying, of a Plague Tale Innocence. Plague Tale Requiem looks really cool. It's one of those games that's just like, I don't want to say not really high on my list, but it looks very interesting. Seeing it get this many nominees kind of bumps up my desire to go and play it. And then I've watched some Neon White, Sifu, and Tunic. They all look really cool. Of those, probably Tunic or Sifu are the ones I'm most likely to go and play. And then I've heard really good things about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I've heard it's very good. It seems to have a very vocal fan base in terms of it being like one of the best RPGs ever made, or like best JRPGs ever made. And so I definitely have a desire to go check that out. I don't know when I will do that, but like I said, definitely have heard some really good things about it. But yeah, with that, of the Game of the Year games, Chunk beat us to this in chat. But of the Game of the Year games, again, Plague Tale, Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Just kind of with what you know, either from your own play, from watching, what game do you think is your Game of the Year right now on November 14th, 2022? Obviously, opinions can change later.
Yeah.
And then what game do you think will win? In chat, Chunk says Game of the Year will either be Elden Ring or God of War, with God of War being his choice.
Cameron, I was going to say, in terms of the question, I was going to split my answer up into what I want it to be and what I think it will be. What I want it to be is Horizon, and what I think it will be is God of War. Because I feel like there's a bigger fan base for God of War, so there's like more support vying behind it and a bit more pressure for that game to do better.
Yeah.
Especially since it has a bigger lineage behind it and a bigger like lore base that it's sort of, at least at this point, incorporating into the game. So
yeah. And I do want to call out there, I think the way that voting works for the Game Awards is there's a panel of like news outlets or review outlets. And I think they are 90% of the vote, and then the fans are 10%. I could be wrong there, but I feel like I've looked that up previous years, and that's how it worked. I'm like scrolling their website yes, here we go. Winners are determined by a blended vote between the voting jury, which is 90%, and then public fan voting, 10%.
Okay.
And so
it's nice that it's not entirely fan driven.
Yeah.
Because then it's just popularity based.
Mhm.
I do not really like things that are almost entirely popularity based. Because I feel like it doesn't always contribute to the actual like value and work that went into a project.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a soapbox that I could get up on that I'm not going to.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you there. Um, I was having a conversation in Checkpoint Church's Discord today, and I was like, "Don't get me started on my issue with fan reviews." But
like, it's great to like incorporate the fan opinion and the fan voice into something like that, but don't make it the entire basis for what should win the award.
Yeah. I completely agree. So I think Elden Ring, the definite Elden Ring, the Elden Ring,
Only.
has, I think, one like most anticipated game like every year at the Game Awards since it was announced. I think it was revealed at Game Awards. It's the guy who runs it, Jeff Keighley. It's one of the things that like he's kind of been behind and been pushing. And so like obviously his vote isn't weighted any more than anybody else's. If he even gets a vote, which he may not, I don't actually know. He may choose not to, like just for like the like optics of it, choose to not vote. So it's not like, oh, look, my game won. Yeah, bias stuff like that.
Vote or whatever, yeah.
So I could see him like not doing that, but kind of with that said, I do think that there is this big connection for a lot of fans between Elden Ring and the Game Awards. And so I could see that being a big swing, but then again, that is still only 10% of the vote. And I can see like, I loved Elden Ring and like, having not finished God of War, it's very tight for me if I had to pick one or the other. And we'll get more into that discussion in a moment, but I think it's going to be very interesting because my gut says Elden Ring will win. I'm very curious if they would release numbers after the fact. Like I could see it being like super close. So like
I would love to look at the numbers after the fact just to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that being super interesting. Oh, and I want to shout out real quick. Thank you, Electric Maestro and Gamer Parents Pod for the follows. We appreciate you. And so,
sorry guys, I'm eating my dinner on stream, which I don't normally do, but it was a busy day.
Yeah. I would like Wildest Dreams. I would honestly love it if Stray won. I think the odds of that happening are very slim.
Yeah.
But I would love it if like just for the story.
It's one of those like reach for the stars, dreams. That's like I would love it if that happened, but I don't think it will.
Yeah. Oh, Chunk says it's like the meme I posted, the meme that's in our Discord server that people can go and join. Yeah. And so that was an A+ meme.
411.
Can confirm. And so, I misspelled Discord. Here we go. But yeah. So I think it's going to be Elden Ring. If I had to vote today, I think I would vote for Elden Ring. We'll see where God of War ends, but if I had to vote right now, like few games have like pulled me in to the degree that Elden Ring has. But at the same time, it's a very not for everyone game. Yeah. And I could see a lot of people saying, I think it's going to be between Elden Ring and God of War, and I want my vote to count, so I'm going to vote for God of War. Yeah. And I could see that kind of being the upset. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm super interested in how it's going to shake out. I was going to pull up the date, and then I did not.
I think it's like a few weeks from now.
Yeah, let me see if I can...
Oh, the link isn't in the show notes.
No, that's my bad. I meant to put... No, it's 24 days from now, whatever that is.
Say a couple of weeks, like just about a month, roughly. Like 3 weeks.
So it's around beginning of, December 8th. There we go. The page loaded in and it has the date. So early December. And I do want to say, I saw some criticism online about God of War being on here when it literally came out like a week ago. Like, the people that are voting have had access to this game since October. So, like, it's not like they're nominating it based off the fact that it just came out. Yeah.
Only a week. Like,
yeah. And so they've had it for a while. Like,
people who make up the majority of the vote here have had it for longer than we have. So.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean there can't be recency bias or any of those things, of course. Yeah. But I did see some of that criticism going around online.
Which is, like, fair to an extent, but you also have to realize, again, that, like, some of that, a lot of the votes that matter, in a sense, are ones where they've had it for longer. Yeah.
Like, by percent, a single, like, jury vote is worth way more than a single fan vote. So.
Yep.
But yeah, we've kind of danced around it throughout the show. Let's get into, let me fix my image real quick. Let's get into our spoiler-free discussion of God of War Ragnarok. So again, people in chat, people watching later, this is spoiler-free. If you post spoilers in chat, we'll see what the mood I'm in. I may ban you. Yeah. Just straight up. And so when it comes to how I think we're going to define spoiler-free, anything that was in the trailers is fair game. But anything that was not revealed before the game started is kind of off the table. So but we're not going to get into story because of that. We want to avoid all of those. We're going to try to keep things as I don't even want to say vague, because there's certain things I don't even want us to hint at. But
are you referring to the thing we were talking about earlier?
I'm 100% referring to that.
I'm just clarifying now.
Yes, I appreciate that. I appreciate not having to ban you from this podcast. And so
the thing we talked about on Twitter.
Yes, we talked about it
to that. Yes.
So with all of that out of the way, Emma, what is your history with the God of War franchise, and how far are you, time played wise, into Ragnarok?
Time played wise, I'm about 10 hours in, roughly. History wise, I had always sort of, God of War was one of those games that I had always heard of, because it was one of the video games that this is one of those games where you should play at least one of them at some point in your life, kind of video games. That I've always, when I started getting into video games, was curious about and wanted to play. But I didn't actually, the first God of War game I played was the 2018 one when it came out. I watched a playthrough first, or part of a playthrough first, and then bought the game and played it for myself. And really enjoyed it. And then played God of War 3 in prep for this game, because I wanted to get some history or lore, or actually play some of the original series before going into this game, rather than just read it on Wikipedia, to get a sense of what the original series was in comparison to where it is now, kind of. And I haven't finished God of War 3, but I have maybe 3 hours left on that, so I'm pretty much done enough that I'm seeing a lot of connections being made between Ragnarok and even just that game, in terms of things that come up in conversation, and Kratos' history being referenced and all of this and that. So that's been a lot of fun. Just to see that, it's not just something that I read on Wikipedia, but it was oh yeah, I actually went through and fought Zeus and, whatever else. It wasn't just, I understand, but yeah, I played that. So history-wise, I haven't played any of the other ones because I don't have access to any of the other like platforms. Aside from, I think 3 is the only one that they updated for PS4. I think. I don't remember what my conclusion was research-wise.
Yeah, there was a collection at one point, but I don't remember what that collection was on. Like, it could have been a PS3 collection. I don't. Yeah. I do not remember.
Anyway, that was the brief rundown of like I've played 3 and 2018, and I'm currently playing 2022, Ragnarök. So
yeah, so the collection was for PlayStation 3, and then the God of War 3 was remastered for PlayStation 4. So I don't know if you can easily get that collection onto PS4. Like, I don't know if it's available. But yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think there's a lot of stuff that's backwards compatible with PS4.
Yeah.
Which is a struggle I'm finding with a lot of the older games that I missed out on that I like. I'd like to play that just to see where, like, you know, this game was when I heard about it when it first came out, but never actually played.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Rip Infamous 1 and 2.
Yeah. Like, I remember where I was when that came out, but I never played it. You know?
So for me, ironically, I've played less God of War than you. I've been a PlayStation gamer since PlayStation 2. And I think I have very briefly played the PSP God of War. And then it wasn't until last year that I played God of War 2018. Like, last year was kind of my, like, I'm going to go back and play a bunch of games I've been meaning to play, because there just wasn't a lot coming out that I was super interested in. And God of War was one of those. And so, like, I definitely came into it with the expectation that this is, like, it is considered like a 10 out of 10 game, and it has, like, persisted with that rating. Like, I feel like there's some games that, like, may get a high score, and then as things go, it kind of dwindles. But kind of knowing that it still retained that, which I think is, timeline-wise, is very similar to what you went through with it. Yeah. And so, like, I played through it, and I mean, as someone who, like, is in the camp of I have literally never cared about Kratos, like, seeing what they did, Chunk said it in chat that Kratos has grown up with the fan base, or God of War as a whole has, like, kind of matured as well, which is ironic because, you know, it's M-rated, but, like, in terms of, like, it was a very, like, PS2, everything's edgy, we're fighting the gods, gotta kill a bunch of stuff. And then God of War 2018 is like a dad and his boy, just like on this, like, super personal journey
to you know, spread the wife's ashes at the highest peak in all the realms. Yeah. Which is, like, super sweet, and it's just like, okay, yes, it's a hack and slash, but, like, the intention behind the hacking and slashing is cute and sad and sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so, God of War 2018 definitely connected with me in a way I never would have anticipated, going into it, and was very happy to have finally played it. And I said, I think after beating it last year, that, like, playing that actually made me excited for Ragnarok, because, like, in a way that I never anticipated. Because I feel like we knew, we might not have known it was called God of War Ragnarok, but we knew God of War 2 was coming. And so, like, that actually got me really excited, and playing that is the reason I, like, got the game on day one to play it. So, like, I guess then with all of that, again, spoiler free, but what have you thought of your time so far?
The thing I was just thinking about is the thing I like about God of War as a franchise as a whole is I really like the different take it has on mythology, because mythology is one of the things that in modern media, like, there's so many different adaptations of it. There's, like, the Percy Jackson books, there's There's a musical about, whatever. There's the Mount Olympus comic books. Like, there's all of these different um, sources of media where we adapt all of what was once essentially a daily practiced religion, which no longer is for reasons.
Yeah.
Um, and I think God of War as a franchise as a whole, I really love the sort of unique take it has on all of those of like, Kratos' story of like his he doesn't want to be in the position that he's in, and like he was tricked into killing his family, and all of this other stuff that is old news that it has nothing to do with Ragnarok. um that whole thing, it's like it's such a different take and a different side of that like mythology experience. In terms of Ragnarok, obviously we encompassing both Cameron and I have not finished the game. So in terms of me right now, the story feels a bit like all over the place, in the sense that like there's a lot of jumping around from like to the like different character arcs of even like side characters. Not saying that it's like that's a bad thing. I'm enjoying getting to know all of these different characters, but like I don't know if that's going anywhere, if they're gonna connect at all. Like I'm very much enjoying it. But like I just met this random giant girl.
Yeah. And I forgot to say, I'm about 15 hours in. And so I think from what Emma and I have discussed offline, I think I am like one area ahead of her, I think is where it is. And so, so for me, I definitely see where you're coming from. And I think that that's kind of like the biggest strength. And if that strength doesn't connect with you, it becomes the greatest weakness of the game.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's not like it doesn't like it bugs me a whole lot. It's just like I wish there was a stronger unifying factor between them.
Yeah.
Like again, I'm enjoying having those different sections and those different like opportunities to work with those different side characters and all of that. It's just like because in 2018 and the 2018 game, you had that super strong connecting thread of we're going to the tallest peak to spread Freya's phase ashes. And it's like, okay, unified goal that's very concrete. Whereas this, it's like we're just trying to stop Odin from starting Ragnarok, but we're not really saying how that's happening.
Yeah.
Like it feels a little like shruggy in terms of goals, but like that doesn't mean that I'm like saying that it's a bad game so far, a bad story. Like no, it's actually in the grand scheme of things like there's some kind of intention there, which is pretty strong. But like if in terms of like it's clear that's like the unifying thread between all the different sections, but it doesn't feel like a strong unifying thread between all of the sections so far.
Yeah.
Again, that may change because it's like we haven't finished the game and I haven't finished the game, so that may all like there may be stuff like foreshadowing stuff that I don't see now that like I'll see further down the road when things happen. And I'm like, oh, like there was that thing that you were referring to 30 hours ago. I understand now. So like that may all change in 20 hours time when I'm like, now it's all in context and it all makes sense and it like makes better sense now. But like as of right now where I'm not done yet, it's like,
Yeah.
But it still draws me in enough to like I'm gonna keep playing.
Yeah. I know, like, I'm going to say this and I'm curious if you agree. I think you will based on what you've said. To me, it feels like so far there's a whole lot of rising action.
Yeah.
Like we're building, there's just like a whole bunch of building, and I'm not really sure what we're building to, but I'm loving every minute of getting there. Like I love all the side characters. I like
the random squirrel. I don't
Yes.
understand the random squirrel. Like he's just there.
So I love
What
that.
does he do? I don't know.
So
He doesn't really help. He's just there.
So I love that, like, I know so little about Norse mythology, but at the same time, I know random things because of, like, we had Assassin's Creed Valhalla, then Magic the Gathering did the Kaldheim set, which was based on Norse mythology. And so, like, I learned a bit of it from there, and then now we're getting more of it in Ragnarok. But yeah,
like, I know that he does in Norse mythology, but in terms of the gameplay,
just like, why is he here?
He just shows up.
Yeah.
He's just this
He's just
Norse
hanging out
mythology character that shows up at one point, and like he's like, oh yeah, you can call me by throwing your axe at these wind chimes, and it's like, okay, that's great, but you haven't told me why I would want to do that.
Because it's a super curl squirrel. Like I don't. Yeah, I'm there with you.
What do I have in which you could help me?
Yeah, completely agree.
It's like little things like that. Where it's like, I enjoy your character, you're funny, you add comedy, but like, you haven't told me why you're around.
Yeah, I'm 100% there with you.
And again, that may like be one of the things where it's like 10 hours down the road, I have a need for the squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like where they've gone. I know one of the things that I've heard from a lot of the reviews that I've watched is that like it's hard to say who is like the best like character here because so many of the side characters feel so well fleshed out. And again, I don't want to even hint at spoilers, but I really like where they've gone with a lot of the side characters and the amount that I've played. They're like our old friends from the first one, characters that we know, what we've seen so far with new characters. I really like what's going on. I really like how they've taken the characters in those directions. And then in classic like post MCU phase or MCU world, I love that their versions of these Norse characters don't feel like they're trying to be the Marvel version of those characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't feel like they're trying to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's like the challenge there is like, you don't want to go full swing the other way. You still want to feel authentic, but at the same time, you don't want your Thor to feel exactly like Thor, that kind of thing.
You can go Marvel Thor or I was going to say Marvel Thor or Marvel Thor, picturing, either Thor 1 or like depressed Thor in my head.
Yeah.
The Thor we have here is a great, unique version of Thor.
Yeah. And like, I'll say like, one of the reasons I say that is because I feel like that's one of the places that Assassin's Creed Valhalla kind of struggled. Like, I feel like their takes on the characters, it either felt like they were trying so hard to not be Marvel, or they were just completely forgettable because they weren't really sure what to do with the character in terms of not making them like the MCU version.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my own like faulty memory of those characters, but that's like my take here.
It's true. Yeah. No, you make a good point, having played it a bit more recently. It's like the thing that came to mind when you were just saying that was that it's almost like they were afraid to become the Marvel version.
Yeah.
Or like have their things become the next Marvel version. So they didn't put a lot of work into making their own unique version.
Right.
Whereas in this, in Ragnarok, they've put work into making their own unique interpretations of the characters.
Right.
Like Thor is a very like big boned sort of stocky man. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you don't need to have a quote unquote model like bodybuilder physique to be strong. There's like different like body type strengths that play based on whatever. and they've built this Thor, bigger boned and whatever, as it's still a very based in reality in terms of strength, and it's all like core based, which is super cool.
Yeah,
that's the Doctor's kid coming out.
Yes. I like with it that, again, I picking up from 2018, I like that we've had time pass, but it feels like not enough time, or like not a lot of time. Like, I feel like sometimes that's the issue that sequels have, is it's like, oh, this is set 10 years in the future, or it's just 1 year in the future or whatever. And so I feel like sometimes there's like that balance between how do you like give the characters a reasonable amount of time between games. And I don't even know if we know exactly how long it's been. I think it's implied to have been several years, but like, it feels authentic for where the characters are at here versus where they were left at the end of the first game, across the board for side characters as well.
My estimate is 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could definitely, like, that amount makes sense to me. And Chat Chunk says 3 years. And so several years, but not like decades. Which I think makes a lot of sense.
Atreus is definitely a teenager.
Yes.
He's
not the angsty kid though, which is great. No. Like the worst part of God of War. And so, but yeah, trying to think if there was something else. I have a handful of questions I want to ask, but they're all like potentially spoilery, and I don't want to get into those. And so,
you can ask them, and then I can tell you if I can answer it in a non-spoilery way or not.
I don't trust myself to answer it in a non-spoilery way.
There you go.
And so that's really what it is. And I said I don't want to ban you. I also don't want Chunk to get the pride of banning me. And so
no, don't want that.
So I gotta stay good, stay on the straight and narrow, and not ask questions that'll potentially get myself to spoil the game. And so
fair. That's totally fair.
And so I guess with that, I was trying to decide if I wanted to ask a question, but I think I'm not going to. With that, we will have a check-in again. Obviously, we'll, as we have normal podcasts, we'll update on where we're at. And then hopefully once we get through all of that, we will do a more formal spoiler cast. And I think this will be the first, again, assuming Emma and Chris have not played, or this might be the first spoiler cast that's just the two of us. I don't think we've had one yet. I feel like Shanine and I did one, but I could be wrong. But with that, listeners, hit us up with what you've been thinking of God of War over in that Discord. Again, just use those spoiler tags. And with all of that, Chunk says he doesn't think he can ban me. Exactly. Just what I want you to think, Chunk. But I do also want to say, as we wrap, don't forget, book club is this week. We are reading Black Panther, A Nation Under Our Feet, Volume 1. It is available on Marvel Unlimited, or the individual comics are. We're doing that this Thursday, the 17th, 6:45 Mountain Time, because of American Thanksgiving. And so we did not want to meet the final Thursday because of that. And so it's a very quick read. It's 5 comics. You can knock it out very fast.
I literally started it today.
Yeah.
Like, for the slow reader in the group, that like says a lot.
Yeah.
When I started it today.
Yeah. After like all the other stuff, it's very nice to not have to plan out how much do I need to read. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been hurt before, like with Dune. Of like, okay, I have to read this many pages a night or else I will not finish this.
Yeah.
But yeah, but with all of that, I'm very excited. Again, there are some fun references in this that are brought into Wakanda Forever, which I was very excited for. I don't know if they're original to this run, but they're very cool. And so I was very happy to see that. But yeah, hopefully everybody can come back and join us for that this Thursday night, 6:45 Mountain Time. But I guess, yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Listeners, you can find us as OneGeek411 on all of our social media. You can join our Discord server or shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought. If you have any comments on Black Panther, the Game Awards, or God of War Ragnarok.
Dad of boy.
Yeah, Dad of boy.
Dad of boy.
I like, I was telling Emma beforehand, I like Data Rock. That's one of my favorite ones. And so you can watch live like you might be doing right now on twitch.tv/OneGeek411. And you can find the video, which you might be watching right now, over on our YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. And then if you want to connect with us, you can do that through our personal social media. Mine is Humar Whittle.
Mine is I am not prepared with an I.
And it's been a great week.
Play a game.
I love you.